2023 meeting of the Board of Commissioners. Note the presence of all three commissioners. And I'm going to ask Dennis Miller, our Director of Veterans Affairs, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Prepare yourselves. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, I'd like to acknowledge the death of Bernard Gribben last week. Bernard was a Montgomery County resident who lived in Abington, and he was fatally shot in Philadelphia while on the job as a SEPTA bus driver. He was 48 years old. Bernard's service to the community went beyond his 12 years as a SEPTA employee. He was also a veteran of the U.S. military. And on behalf of Montgomery County, our deepest condolences go to Bernard's wife, family, and friends. Thoughts and prayers do not feel sufficient in the wake of this tragic and senseless occurrence. Gun violence is a national concern, and the consequences of it hit our communities too frequently. I'm grateful for the work of the SEPTA Transit Police for quickly apprehending the suspect. And we can just take a moment of silence for Bernard. Thank you. November is American Indian and Alaska Native Heritage Month. It's a time for us to honor and reflect on those who called this land home first. This month is an opportunity to celebrate the many indigenous communities and cultures. In our area, the Lenape people occupied the Delaware Valley for nearly 10,000 years. For centuries, indigenous people across the United States were uprooted from their homes. They were forced to disavow their cultures and assimilate into society. Their differences were scorned, not celebrated. American Indian Alaska Native Heritage Month is an opportunity to acknowledge that history and show our respect for indigenous people's strength, resilience, and positive impact in our community. On behalf of Montgomery County, I want to thank the indigenous people for their contributions to our community through public service, entrepreneurship, scholarship, the arts, and other fields. I encourage everyone to celebrate and recognize the many indigenous communities and cultures that make up our great country. And finally, I'd like to share some exciting news. We're happy to announce the winners of our America 250 photo contest. The America 250 initiative is a national campaign to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the United States coming up in 2026. Throughout the summer and into the fall, we invited photographers from across the country to take and submit photos celebrating Montco's rich history and natural beauty. We had a total of 43 entries submitted in 3 categories: youth submissions, historical elements, and natural beauty. An internal team of county employees reviewed all the entries and selected 6 finalists for each category. And then we opened up the voting to the public. So without further ado, here are the winners. I think the photos are going to come up on screen. For the youth entry, Brian Yu, age 17 of Harleysville, won his photo of Main Street in the historic district of Souderton. Brian said that he has spent numerous hours here, from Third Fridays to the Broad Thread. He used long exposure techniques to highlight Main Street as a cornerstone of the community. Next, the historical elements category was won by Alan Folsom with his photo of the Horsham Friends meeting in cemetery. Alan currently works as a clerk at Horsham Friends and said that he has been fascinated by the history of the Quakers. And finally, Joe Lavery of Perkiomenville won the natural beauty category with this photo taken at Sunrise Mill in Schwenksville. His depiction of mushrooms on a hillside are a beautiful example of what Joe calls nature's boundless creations. So congratulations to the winners. Your photos will be featured on the homepage of our website. And thank you to all of our residents who participated in the contest. And with that, I will turn it over to Commissioner Winder.
Thank you, Commissioner Lawrence, and good morning. Thank you all for being here. I would like to take a moment to recognize that November is Alzheimer's Awareness Month. Alzheimer's disease is a progressive, deadly brain disease, and there currently is no cure. There are over 6 million Americans living with the disease, and over 3 million new cases are diagnosed each year. Alzheimer's causes a ripple effect, not just altering the individual with the diagnosis, but also impacting their loved ones, their communities, and our healthcare system as a whole. Over 11 million Americans act as an unpaid caregiver for a loved one with Alzheimer's. Personally, my mother has been struggling with Alzheimer's for more than 2 years. So I know from my own experience that this is a disease that is challenging for both those suffering and for their caretakers. During this month, we honor and support those who have been diagnosed with this ugly disease, along with the selfless family members and caregivers who stand by their side during the long course of this disease. Supporting those caring for aging parents, ensuring that seniors have a way to age with respect and dignity is important to me because it is so deeply personal to me and my family. I know how devastating it can be to watch the person who cared for you as a child become the person who depends so significantly on you. Brain damage can begin to show a decade or more before symptoms actually do. So it's important to monitor yourself and loved ones for any signs of mild cognitive impairment, such as losing things often, forgetting to go to events or appointments, having more trouble coming up with words or names of friends and loved ones, and movement difficulties, and problems with their sense of smell. To help bring awareness to the disease and to show our support, the county will light the courthouse teal tonight. If you or a family member needs help, please contact our Office of Senior Services by calling 610-278-3601. They can help seniors secure a caregiver or additional supportive services at home. Next, as you may have heard, as mentioned regularly, reducing food insecurity is one of our top priorities. We want all Monco families that wish to celebrate their Thanksgiving holiday to have all of the ingredients that they need to share a warm and wonderful family meal. So our Department of Health and Human Services is once again holding its annual Thanksgiving food drive, which started earlier this month. We welcome the community to drop off non-perishable food items such as boxed potatoes, stuffing, cranberry sauce, and you can drop off it at our Montgomery County Human Services Center at 1430 DeKalb Street in Norristown, inside the main entrance across from the parking garage. Food items will be collected up until November 9th. You may also donate $10 to $25 gift cards for a local supermarket for a family to enjoy a turkey or other entree items of their choice. Gift cards can be mailed through November 20th to Montgomery County Office of Health and Human Services. Attention, Vernica Hillman, P.O. Box 311, Norristown, PA 19404. E-gift cards are also welcome and can be sent to Veronica Hillman at montgomerycountypa.gov. For more information, contact Veronica at 610-278-5885 or at the email address I just mentioned. Thank you all for being here, and that concludes my comments.
I would just like to say yesterday we hosted our annual county employee pin ceremony. It was a very nice event to recognize the employees for various years of service, ranging from 5 years all the way up to 35 years. I know last year we even had an employee that was a 40-year employee. So we're fortunate to have such outstanding employees here in Montgomery County. And for those that were unable to attend the ceremony yesterday, I just would like to express my gratitude to all of you and thank you for your service.
Thank you. All right, we have one presentation today, and that's going to be for Veteran to Stay, Dennis Miller, our Director of Veterans Affairs.
Good morning. Chair Lawrence, Vice Chair Winder, Commissioner Gale. I'm Dennis Miller from the Montgomery County Office of Veteran Affairs, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, so there's no confusion, not Maryland. Just take a moment to recognize a friend of mine who passed yesterday about this time. His name was John Nowak, John Gerald Nowak. He was a Air Force veteran from Vietnam, a close friend of mine, but also he was a Director of Veteran Affairs in the early 90s when it was a two-person show. Handled hundreds of claims, many for new Desert Storm veterans and Vietnam veterans as things changed, but he was a wonderful man. I'm sorry to see him go. Try not to be so somber, but I wanted to get it right out front. Things are different from when John was here. We are the largest county Veterans Affairs office in the state with the most veterans in the county. And I have a wonderful staff. which makes me a little nervous because my dad said there's a problematic person in every group of people, and if you can't find them, Dennis, it's you. So it must be me. But we are busy. We have 781 new clients since last Veterans Day, and which is about 3 new clients per business day on average, but it surges at times. Also, since last Veterans Day, we've done 1,543 claims or claim transactions with a 78% success rate, which is kind of high when you're dealing with the state and the federal VA. Thanks to you, commissioners, we successfully deployed 62,000 flags for Memorial Day with about 100 providers from all over the county for this important civic duty to put flags on the graves of veterans in our county. Am I allowed to? I could. Okay, thank you. And there's going to be a little bit of this. That's the next slide, right? Yeah. Okay, and cemetery censuses. We have 245 cemeteries in the county. I'm the veteran grave registrar for 77,000 graves that we try to keep track of, but we need help. Last week we had a Coast Guard, which is from my old unit. Officers and chief petty officers came out and did a cemetery census to re-identify 37 Civil War and Revolutionary War graves at Old Sweet Cemetery in Bridgeport. This way we can get new stones, headstones or gravestones for those graves. We're going to leave the old gravestones up because they're historic, but we're going to put new markers on there so that these graves are not lost to history. Interesting note in Bridgeport is the Rambo family, named after Rambo Street, was the inspiration for John Rambo in First Blood, which took place in Pennsylvania. I have too much time on my hands, so I'm just throwing that in there. But we need help, and if there is an organization that's interested in doing a cemetery census, we have a guide, and we can help you in that regard. We also have affinity groups that help with cemetery censuses and other undertakings through employers. Since last Veterans Day, we've initiated a surviving spouse peer support program. What we do is the death of any loved one, but for us, the death of a veteran is really tough because it's like any other death, it's a loss of income. And I'm sure that everyone looks to their spouse or their parent as a hero. But what do you do when they're actually a hero? You know, for other reasons, for veteran reasons. And surviving spouses are still part of the veteran community, and we try to serve them. So what we do is, with their permission, we do peer support for a surviving spouse or widow that's 1 year out to talk to a new widow, because we believe that the best techniques are taught by survivors. And we also do intensive case management for our harder to manage veteran cases, just to track with providers. I don't want to go too much into that because there's a lot of privacy stuff. But wait, there's more. So veteran response team, there's a member right there, that tough guy in the corner. Veteran response team, first of its kind in Pennsylvania. We have approximately 67 officers from 27 departments that are military veterans that help us, that are specially trained and attached to other agencies, mental health, senior services, federal VA, VA police. I'm probably forgetting somebody, and they're gonna yell at me later. But it's a very large team. There is information available about it online, and what they do is they help veterans that are mentally unstable, suicidal risk. They do wellness checks. They do responses. Most of our SWAT negotiation officers, SWAT negotiators, although they may not be military veterans, are trained and are part of the veteran response team. We've helped over 100 people in the last year. Our shuttle van performed over 900 sorties, which are one-way trips this calendar year, which is a new record. And we continue to advocate for, quote, members of the veteran community most in need first. What does that mean? That is unstable housing, advanced stage in crisis, suicidal, PTSD/mentally ill, and the incarcerated, or those that have contact with the justice system. And we're thankful to the Veteran Treatment Court for that. We have a couple of events coming up for this, over the next couple of months. One is we have a Baton Memorial Team Ruck, November 10th, 11th, and 12th, 65 miles throughout the Montgomery County trails. So if you want to do a leg or all of them, that would be great. But 65 miles was the length that our soldiers traveled during the Baton Death March in World War II. So we're going to do that. There'll be rally points, there'll be Facebook updates, but we're going to carry an American flag that's 65 miles. Next is, on Veterans Day, we encourage you all to participate in the 5 and 10K and dog walk event for Pact for Animals. Pact for Animals is an organization that fosters dogs and cats for military people when they're deployed. It's a nationwide program that is headquartered here in Montgomery County, and we're trying to get the word out on that. And then looking past Veterans Day, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, right? We just had Halloween. Anyway, we have a holiday, believe me if you want. We have a holiday card drive. Send a greeting card to a Montgomery County veteran. We had 2,300 cards last year from all over the country, and these cards go to skilled nursing facilities in skilled nursing sections of long-term care facilities, nursing homes, for a lot of veterans that don't have family, and this is going to be probably the only gift that they get. But we went to 63, which I believe is all of the facilities in Montgomery County that have a skilled nursing facility. But it doesn't take much. You could just mail it to us. We almost right to Christmas. December 15th is our due date, and something to do at work or in your spare time. But that's my update, Commissioners. Thank you.
Dennis, thank you for your service to our country, but thank you to our service to our veterans. I'll get notes about you throughout the year from veterans, and I know you always give it credit to your staff, but they're about you. Can we make sure that we have these events posted on our website too, so that people can participate in them? But thank you for all you do each and every day.
Thank you very much.
And Dennis, I just want to say thank you. Just personally, you helped me with an issue with my dad, who's a Korean War veteran, and trying to navigate the complexities of our VA system, and you stepped right in to help our family out. So I know what you're doing with tons of veterans and families across Montgomery County, so thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad you mentioned the number of veterans that live here in Montgomery County. It's a very large number, and over the years, as to express the same points as my colleagues, you and your staff have done a great job making sure the veterans know what services they're entitled to, because a lot of times, unfortunately, the VA system on the federal level can be difficult to navigate, and they do a great job assisting those veterans. So I can't thank you enough for what you do to help members of the community that deserve it.
Well, I thank you all, and my staff thanks you. Take care.
Thank you.
With me.
Dennis, so while I have you, so what's the connection between Rambo Street and Bridgeport and Rambo?
The writer that wrote First Blood had to come up with a name for a character. The Rambo family from Bridgeport, Pennsylvania, served in every conflict that we have. And so if you go in that cemetery, Revolutionary War veterans, 1812, Civil War veterans, World War I, World War II, they were
So John
notable.
Rambo was named after
that Rambo family. He was the inspiration for that name that they came up with. The rest of it, that's all in the book.
Right.
But it's and it's funny with that book. It's a Western. First Blood is a Western. Think about it. A stranger comes into town. He has a problem with the sheriff, not this sheriff, but he has a problem with the sheriff. He's a big guy, but he has a problem with the sheriff, and it's a Western. But yeah, that's what I've been told, is that's
Okay.
what inspired it. But thank you.
If I'm on Jeopardy, can get that. Thank you, Dennis. We will now move on to public comment.
First up is Pearl Flanberg.
Good morning, I'm Pearl Flamberg. I live in Woodpain, but I work in Norristown at DeKalb Airy, so across the parking lot from the prison. I would like to say respectfully that destroying a symbol of oppression does not prevent future oppression. I would suggest that the building could be reused as an educational center so that we learn about the past and it doesn't happen again, that we don't repeat our mistakes. So let's educate rather than erase. I would ask for a delay on the demolition so that a proper economic study can be done for the reuse of this architecturally significant building. There are grants available for adaptive reuse. It doesn't have to come out of taxpayer money. And this could be made into a destination for tourists. Norristown needs a destination, right? Why should anyone come here? And it's walking distance to the train station. There's parking right next door. So please, let's educate, not erase. Thank you.
Next up is Sidel Zove.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Sidel Zove. I'm a resident of White Marsh Township, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you this morning. I'm here, however, to express my profound disappointment that the county has chosen to appeal the decision of the Norristown Historical Architectural Review Board to recommend against the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness, which would allow Norristown to issue a demolition permit for the Airy Street Prison. I object to the fact that the county is using my taxpayer dollars to file and pursue the appeal. But more fundamentally, I am opposed to the fact that the county is pursuing the demolition and has requested a permit to pursue that. Commissioner Lawrence has indicated that he doesn't want to spend county money on renovating the prison. It's not necessary to spend county money on renovating the prison. It's not necessary to spend county money on demolishing the prison. There are alternatives. I don't know whether you subscribe or see the Philadelphia Inquirer, but this past Sunday there was a front page article, and I'm going to leave this with you, Getting Creative with Abandoned Buildings, written by the architecture critic Inga Safran. She highlights in particular two former industrial buildings in Philadelphia that have undergone adaptive reuse. What is interesting is that one of the firms that has undertaken that renovation is MM Partners, the very same firm that is about to undertake a $31 million ground-up mixed-use development 2 blocks from the prison at Main and DeKalb Streets. The very same firm that's highlighted here is investing $31 million in Norristown. Has anyone approached that firm about looking at the prison for an adaptive reuse? They're skilled at doing it. They have the capacity. Another Philadelphia developer posted on Facebook in response to the flurry of postings about the prison, I would love to restore and reuse this historic building so it becomes a destination for Norristown. This was done at Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia and can be done in Monco. His name is Ken Weinstein, and I can put you in touch with Ken if you're interested in pursuing that opportunity. Commissioner Winder, you're quoted in an article on WHYY as saying that what you are most proud of is that you have had an opportunity to be the first so many times. I'm asking you to be the first. I'm asking you to lead here with your fellow commissioners and immediately withdraw the application for a demolition permit for the Airy Street Prison. Thank you very much for your time, and I would like to leave this with you. May I approach?
You can give it to Stacy.
Thank you. It's available online, of course.
Up next is Olivia Brady.
Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you for allowing us to speak this morning. The representative you sent to speak to the HARB meeting referred to the reason that you wanted the destruction of our iconic building as a practical and moral reason. Norristown has struggled to see progress, growth, and prosperity, yet the county in which it's situated has exploited and degraded her. Norristown, with its rich past and sweat and toil of generations, deserves better. It deserves respect, care, honor, and protection. Instead, it has been neglected for decades and subject to immoral treatment that threatens its very essence and the ability to succeed. It has been made into a dumping ground for all of the county's ills. Other county seats have thrived, but not Norristown. You have the power to stop this by halting the demolition of the prison and launch it, which can launch revitalization. Instead, you have a zeal to tear away our history to leave a grassy knoll. Our county seat is not just a place on a map. It is an epicenter of our community. It is where our history is preserved, where our local government resides, and where our shared identity is rooted. Yet it seems that the county government is intent on taking away the capability for the very vitality of our town. I urge you to withdraw your proposal to destroy a historic icon that holds immense potential. The prison that faces the wrecking ball is not merely a structure made of bricks and mortar. It is a living testament to our shared past and our ability to learn from our mistakes. Buildings should not be blamed for the actions that humans performed. Say no to demo. Thank you.
Up next is Gail Bresnahan. I'm sorry.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Commissioners. My name's Gail Bresnahan. I moved to Norristown in September 1983, over 40 years ago, and have been a resident of the county for even longer, continuous resident. I was drawn to Norristown because of its rich history and architecture, and its proximity to Philadelphia, where I worked for over 40 years. Almost every day, I have walked by the beautiful historic buildings here in Norristown, including the courthouse, St. John's Episcopal Church, the Presbyterian Church, and the prison. These buildings are iconic to Norristown. No other town in Pennsylvania has these buildings. On July 26, 2023, I attended the Montgomery County Planning Smarter Lunchtime webinar, Historic Preservation Opportunities. One of the key elements of that webinar was, and they emphasize this, historic preservation can benefit community character, economic development, quality of life, environmental sustainability, housing affordability, and even more than that. I sincerely ask you to reconsider your decision to demolish the prison. At the very least, give us more time here in the community to discuss the repurposing of this building. Other towns have done this. Doylestown has repurposed their prison. Philadelphia has repurposed Eastern State Prison. Jim Thorpe has repurposed their prison. In fact, earlier this week, I read that there was a traffic jam in Jim Thorpe because of all the people wanting to get in to see the historic town of Jim Thorpe. As previous people have mentioned, this doesn't mean that the county has to spend money. There are grants available to be able to do this. I'm asking that you take a little time, give the community a little time to see how we should go forward.
Sir, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next is David McMahon.
Hi, yeah, David McMahon. I'm a Norristown resident. Thing is, we're not going away, okay? At the time, this might have seemed like the path of least resistance, you know, bulldozer building, sweep an encampment, whatever it is. These kind of like reactions to issues that don't really address fundamental problems related to them, okay? So Norristown Council has the ability to uphold HARB, and we're going to continue talking with those members to have them uphold the HARB at the next meeting on November 8th. But we're also preparing for appeals. We're preparing for injunctions. Again, we're in this for the long haul. We're not giving up here. only one of you will be continuing on to face the consequences of this choice. I'll say another thing. I don't know if it'll be in anyone else's remarks here. But the thing is, you know, right now, about $1 million, whatever it is, slated for the contract to demolish this, starting with the facade again, because it's very, you know, let's destroy the most valuable part first, so people just kind of give up before they have a chance to resist. But that's not how this went down, okay? And so we're just in it for the long haul. There's so much that can be done with this place. Other people have brought these up, and we're just going to continue. So keep that in mind.
Up next is Leroy James Waters.
Morning, everyone. I was going to say good evening because I'm usually at evening meetings, but I am a veteran, Pennsylvania National Guard, headquarters Norristown, followed my grandfather, what used to be the Pennsylvania Militia, and that was the First World War. Mustard gas got him, so I really didn't have much but his hooks for climbing poles, his bugle, and his sword. So I'm kind of here as showing off to him what I care about my hometown. And I'm approaching this a little bit differently. Maybe because of my military background, that remains to be seen. But I'm approaching this situation with a historic building. I happen to have had to get inside of it as my job with the phone company. And then actually I brought Mike Verb down and met with Steve Nelson, who I think is your predecessor, to try to get things moving along in the year 2000. So I'm invested in this for quite some time. I hope I'm not grinding my teeth because I don't want to react that way. Now, what I have is a standard right-to-know law request form about the repair records of the property at 35 East Erie Street from 1985 to the year 2000. And that's when the Telephone Pioneers of America, in conjunction with the Elmwood Park Zoo and several other organizations, wanted to turn it into the same thing that was happening in Philadelphia. Now, actually, I produced a video in '07 with respect to that, of how that could have become something like Jim Thorpe, who opened in 1962. In the first month, had 1,776 people from 29 states come and visit it. Now, multiply that by a sandwich, and what are you going to get? I would like to present this to
You
you.
can present it to Ms. Washington.
Sorry, I haven't been here for a while. 2015 was the last time I was here to talk about this. I have a newspaper article to prove it. Now, page 2 in my, I'm sorry. I represent the Norristown Leadership Academy, and this is under the Keep Norristown Beautiful, our county seat program. I'm kind of like the self-appointed project manager. The idea here is to make Norristown beautiful, and there's some things wrong that need to be addressed, and I'm here to begin to talk about them. Page 2 is pretty much my position with respect to what happened to the historic building that I believe is a constitutional violation.
Sir,
Now, the fact is,
excuse me,
page
sir.
3 is communication I've been trying to make with you
Sir,
since I
your
graduated from
time
the
is up.
economy. I'll be back.
Thank you for your service.
It's not done.
Next up
It
is,
won't be done till I take my last breath.
next up is David Morgan.
Morning, Commissioners. I'm David Morgan of Ambler, and I'm here first to mention the concern I have that we've had a Democratic majority here in the county, which over the last 3 years has given us a 22.4% tax increase for our property taxes and our April bills. And yet, at that same time, the last 3 years, we've lost 400 to 500 county employees per year. So that had to be addressed recently with a $13.8 million addition to the budget. Then we have also recently, when Commissioner Winder was here, a $12.8 million per year addition of our debt service until 2043. And I was glad these alarming issues I could address a bit with Mr. Soltesiak, thank you very much, and Mr. Bonner. Last week, they informed me that although these alarming numbers are coming up, the goal is to keep the County Justice Center under 415 million. So hopefully, it'll be capped, but I'm concerned when I saw that 232 million was spent in one meeting in, as you know, I mentioned this before, in August 19th of 2021. So as a taxpayer, I really have to keep monitoring things, and I hope all our taxpayers do. That new money bond issue concerning this for 20 years. Then I also want to express concern about the election with our election chair mentioning Chair Lawrence saying in this article that appeared in the Amber Gazette with no side-by-side for the Republican side, he mentions about Governor Shapiro. He's Montgomery County born and raised and here, and I think it's a great reflection here that he wants to make sure that Jamila and O'Neill get across the finish line. So as a person in charge of elections, as someone who's a referee, so to speak, in a contest, I'd be concerned if I went to a contest and the referee started being a cheerleader for one side. So I think that we have to be really careful about how the election is run. And then I have also to speak about the many mentions about abortion that happen through the mail, and if a child sees this coming in the mail, they say, well, I might say, well, I survived, I wasn't aborted. And I know friends who said they might have been aborted, and yet we know these young lives God's given us have, between first trimester, weeks 4 to 8, they develop legs and arms and facial features like eyes and mouth. So aren't these valuable people to consider? So I'd like to have that life statement made, and this is National Adoption Month as well, so why not consider adopting rather than aborting? So then I think it was really refreshing that despite our 25% reduction in speaking time here, I'm watching that clock, that we had Liz Ferry come and speak in July, a beautiful, refreshing involvement so that we can have interaction and freer speech. I'm not done time, right?
Yes, you're done. Thank you.
Up next is Doug Seiler.
My name is Doug Seiler. I'm an architect with 40 years experiencing repurposing historic buildings. I'm also one of the HARP members that recently considered and denied the county's request to demolish the Erie Street Prison in Norristown. We denied the application because the building is of international importance. The future use of the site was not disclosed, although we understand it is to be replaced with a firehouse, a parking garage, and an office structure. The county has made no effort to find a buyer or developer. The engineering report shows that the structure is in fairly good condition. It is not collapsing, and it is not a risk to public safety. The county has not conducted an historic structures report to determine if it's culturally significant, and it has not conducted a planning study to determine if it or a portion of it can be repurposed. I'm here today to ask one of you to make a motion and all of you to vote on two separate but related topics. The first is to withdraw the request for demolition permits submitted to the municipality of Norristown. And the second is to not execute the contract for the planning study of the prison site and adjacent parking lot. Is our understanding, the current scope does not consider keeping any of the existing structure, and the AE team selected or in queue to be awarded a contract does not have preservation specialists on their team. The reason for this request is that many residents in Montco and the municipality would like at least the Erie Street castle-like front saved. A study should be completed to confirm its historic significance and to clarify its contributions towards any social injustices before a demolition takes place. Third, the proposed demolition plan leaves an 8-foot-high hill along Erie Street. Removing that hill will add significant cost to either the next owner or will be a significant charge to the county as a change order. Demolishing the castle is the most expensive part of the demolition, and leaving it saves money. Once it is demolished, the retaining wall in that area will most likely need to be reinforced, and this also will be a significant charge to the county. Both these charges can be avoided if the front castle is kept. The above points indicate that the county can save significant money by leaving the castle and a few of the 1851 cells intact, and instead only demolish the rear portion. This is the compromise the Harb offered and the public is requesting. This is the suggestion the former executive director of Eastern State Penitentiary suggested in a letter sent to each of you. Please take the necessary steps to undo this demolition request, and I hope you'll consider my comments seriously. Thank you.
Finally, we have Jim.
This is what's left, by the way. 2.1 acres. Plenty of room to build those things.
Hi there, my name's Jim. I'm from Gwinnett. You addressed earlier gun violence.
Excuse me, sir, could you state your last name as well, please?
Thomas.
Thomas, thank you.
Upper Gwinnett or Lower Gwinnett?
Lower.
Thank you.
Thank you. You addressed violence, gun violence specifically. I want to bring to your attention a stabbing that occurred. A lady stabbed 20 times, 10 times in the back, ruled suicide some years ago. We may have an issue with our medical examiner and coroner system. Native American Month.
Excuse me, sir,
It happened some years ago. Her
it
name was
happen in
Ellen
Mon-
Greenberg.
Did it happen in Montgomery County?
No, it didn't, but it happened in the surrounding counties. And you talked about a person in Philadelphia. I don't want to lose my time. Native American Month. The SARS-CoV-2 spike protein, as RFK said, may be racially specific and may target Native Americans and other races. We should be investigating that. It also may cause Alzheimer's because the spike protein production may be significant in certain people and preferentially embed in certain organs, including the brain. Your call for announcements of food security. We, the United States, have moved hoof and mouth disease research from Plum Island, New York, off the coast of Long Island, to the center of our country, Manhattan, Kansas. So if there is a leak of hoof and mouth disease, that could be devastating to our cattle population. Treating veterans very well. You talked about veterans. We may want to make sure that the veterans have the same benefits that are given to the people crossing our borders, illegal immigrants or migrants or whatever you want to call them, given free housing, given $2,000 a month or more. We may want to make those same opportunities available to our veterans. And lastly, protecting children in Montgomery County. This is very important for everyone. An attorney running for judge may have told a child to lie to their parent, and that issue may have led to the harm of children in Montgomery County. Any attorney that has done so may not be worthy of being called honorable and should consider recusing themselves from election to judge. The Pennsylvania Medical Society recommends that the recently passed a resolution recommending that the Pennsylvania legislature designate all attorneys licensed in Pennsylvania as mandatory child abuse reporters. This is very important because they may not be at this time. It is suggested that our county immediately institute such measures in the interest of our children. Thank you.
That is the end of public comment.
Okay. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. I will make a motion to approve the October 19th, 2023 minutes of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Minutes are approved. Resolutions. First, we have an authorization to submit a funding application to the Pennsylvania Housing Affordability and Rehabilitation Enhancement Fund. Kaylee Silver, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners and staff. My name is Kaylee Silver with the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Housing and Community Development. I am I'm here today to request a required resolution for the authorization to submit a grant application to the Pennsylvania Housing Fair Program. Next slide, please. The FAIR program is run out of the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, or PHFA. That's who we will be submitting the grant application to. And it is for the PA Housing Affordability and Rehabilitation Enhancement Fund, or FAIR. This grant program receives its funding from a number of sources at the state level, including a portion of the realty transfer tax and money from the National Housing Trust Fund. This grant program is managed then by the agency, PHFA, which stands for the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. This grant application is available for housing initiatives in all of Pennsylvania's counties, as well as to nonprofits and other agencies. And the Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services, through my office, to support the Your Way Home program's desire to submit an application for funding to FAIR to support households experiencing or at risk of homelessness in Montgomery County. Next slide, please. We plan to submit an application requesting $1.5 million. We have been grateful for the support of this grant application and PHFA in the past. The proposed project will benefit at least 300 households in Montgomery County, all of whom are low and medium income households experiencing homelessness, to regain and maintain permanent housing. Some of the eligible uses will be financial assistance through the Rapid Rehousing Program in the form of rental payments, security deposit, and holding fees, as well as utility arrearage payments to prevent shutoffs and or remove barriers to obtaining permanent housing. The funding, if granted, will also promote activities to locate, identify, and build relationships with individuals or families living in unsheltered settings through our street outreach programs, as well as to increase our programs and funding for landlord engagement and mitigation in order to support small landlords to complete necessary repairs, inspections, and maintain positive relationships to secure future vacancies. And then the funding will also help provide intensive clinical engagement, case management, service coordination, and resource navigation to help maintain housing stability. We look forward to submitting this grant application, and thank you for your support.
I will move that the proper county officials, in accordance with the authority conferred by law, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, are hereby authorized to submit a proposal for funding to the Pennsylvania Housing Affordability and Rehabilitation Enhancement Fund for a total of $1,500,000. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment or questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Silver. Next up, we have approval of a contract with certain youth center employees represented by Service Employees International Union Local 668. Mr. Bertone.
Good morning, Commissioners. The action item in front of you is approval of a new labor agreement. This is for the SEIU Local 668, which represents 37 employees at the County Youth Center and Shelter. It includes secure detention counselors and youth and family advocates. The current 3-year contract is set to expire on December 31st, 2023. The county negotiated a new agreement which is covering the period of October 28th, 2023 through December 31st, 2026. It includes a new 16-tier wage scale to be implemented with the current pay cycle, which started on October 28th, 2023. It increases the annual starting pay to $51,300. That's from the prior pay of $44,400. It also includes tier advancement annually on the first of the year, so the employees will advance and the pay scale moves up as you go up to 16 tiers. Our negotiating team, which included Ray, Maureen, Katie, including Joe Vitti and Jed Johnson out at the Youth Center, we are all recommending that this be approved by the board. The union voted in favor of the contract yesterday, so it's good to go.
Okay, let's get a motion on the table. I will move that the proper county officials, in accordance with the authority conferred by law, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, are hereby authorized to enter into an agreement with the Service Employees International Union Local 668 for all employees within the collective bargaining unit represented by that union for the period of October 28th, 2023 through December 31st, 2026. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I just want to thank you, Mr. Dartone, Mr. McGarry, Maureen, Katie, everyone on the team who worked hard to get this done. So,
Thank you.
any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion approved. We have a couple of TEFRAs. Ms. Calder.
Thank you. I have two TEFRAs to present to you today from the Montgomery County Industrial Development Authority. The first is for a project involving the Axe Retirement Life Communities. If approved, the IDA would issue up to $77 million in tax-exempt revenue bonds to finance renovations and upgrades to residential living units at their communities at Fort Washington Estates, Gwinnett Estates, Normandy Farms Estates, Springhouse Estates, and Brittany Point Estates. Pursuant to the Internal Revenue Code, a public hearing was held by the IDA on October 25th, 2023. There was no public comment, and the IDA approved the project and the issuance of bonds for the project. They are now seeking Commissioner's approval.
All right, thank you. I'll make a motion that the proper county officials, in accordance with the authority conferred by law, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, hereby approve the project for the Axe Retirement Communities and the issuance of the bonds by the Montgomery County Industrial Development Authority for the financing of the project. Be it further resolved that the approvals and declarations in this resolution shall in no way pledge or otherwise obligate the credit or taxing power of the county, nor shall the county be liable for the payment of, principal of, or interest or premium, if any, on any obligations issued to finance the project, nor shall the county have any obligation or liability whatsoever with respect to the project. This resolution shall take effect on the date of adoption hereof. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment or questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes.
Thank you. The next TEFRA is for a project at Gwinnett Mercy University. The IDA proposes to issue up to $18,500,000 to finance construction of a new facility with skilled laboratories and high-tech classrooms that will provide hands-on interprofessional programming and learning experiences. The project would also involve constructions of fields for baseball, softball, and related facilities, as well as renovations to residential hall buildings. The IDA held a hearing regarding the project on October 25th, and the IDA approved the project and the issuance of bonds and now seeks approval by the commissioners.
I'll move that the proper county officials, in accordance with the authority conferred by law, subject to the approval of the county solicitor, hereby approve the project for Gwinnett Mercy University and the issuance of the bonds by the Montgomery County Industrial Development Authority for the financing of the project. Be it further resolved that the approvals and declarations in this resolution shall in no way pledge or otherwise obligate the credit or taxing power of the county, nor shall the county be liable for the payment of, principal of, or interest or premium, if any, on any obligations issued to finance the project, nor shall the county have any obligations or liability whatsoever with respect to the project. This resolution shall take effect on the date of adoption hereof. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment or questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Calder. To personnel, Ms. Halen.
Good morning, Commissioners. You should have in front of you the final copy of the Commissioners' Department's personnel list. It is a 4-page document dated November 1, 2023, with a timestamp of 4 p.m. All positions have been reviewed and accounted for and are presented for your consideration.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the November 2nd, 2023 personnel presentation as given by Chief Human Resources Officer Catherine Halen, and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will now move on to advertisements of bids and RFPs, Exhibit A. I'll make a motion to approve the advertisements of bids and RFPs for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit A and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment?
I do.
It's board comment, sir.
Pardon?
It's board comment. It's not public comment. Comment for board members.
Oh, Do I get to comment on the stormwater
You
thing?
should have commented during your public comment
Oh,
portion.
the one in the beginning?
Yes.
So we don't get one with each thing?
No.
Oh, I thought that's the way it used to be, but then last time I was here was 2015.
Okay, all right, thank you. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. Now move on to awards of contracts, which is Exhibit B. I'll make a motion to approve the contract awards, amendments, and renewals for Montgomery County on attached Exhibit B and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. And we will move on to awards of contract for the Southeast PA Regional Task Force, Exhibit C. Make a motion to approve the contract awards, amendments, and renewals for Southeast PA Regional Task Force on attached Exhibit C and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same, subject to the approval of the county solicitor. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes. Do we have any closing commissioner comments?
Yes, I have one closing comment. I'd like to suggest and urge the senior staff to add at the November 16th board meeting a resolution or authorization, I'm not sure how that would fall under, but to properly put up a motion to withdraw the permit of the demolition for the Erie Street Prison.
Any other closing commissioner comments? All right. I'll announce our upcoming meeting dates. We have an election board meeting this Friday, November 3rd at 12 p.m. Our next Board of Commissioners meeting is November 16th, 2023. And I'll make a motion to adjourn the November 2nd, 2023 meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes, meeting adjourned, and we will convene salary board.
Morning.
Welcome, Controller Sanchez. Do we have any public comment on salary board? We
Yes,
do.
we have one public comment. David Morgan.
I'm David Morgan of Ambler. As we know, retention of employees in the salary board is very important, and I like to have that balance, the cost with the cost of construction, and that be addressed thoroughly in the website. So we really know tracking of spending in the website, and that pertains to keeping our employees. And I know that both Liz Ferry and Tom DeBell are interested in watching our expenses and having them clear to the public. So I hope that that can be a future possibility in Montgomery County. We really know where our taxpayer money is going to help employees stay here, but also to accomplish other needs. Thank you.
Liz, you got two references. Tom only got one, so.
Now you just gave me one.
Oh,
There you
now you got two. Now you got two.
I've been out of time.
That's the end of public comment for salary board.
Okay.
Good morning, members of the Salary Board. You should have in front of you a final copy of the Salary Board list. It is a 5-page document dated November 1st, 2023, with a timestamp of 4 p.m. All positions have been reviewed and accounted for and are presented for the Salary Board's consideration.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve the November 2nd, 2023 Salary Board presentation as given by Chief Human Resources Officer Catherine Halen and to authorize the proper county officials to execute the same?
So moved.
Moved by Controller Sanchez. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Is there any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn the November 2nd, 2023 meeting of the Montgomery County Salary Board?
So moved.
Moved by Controller Sanchez. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Winder. Any board comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to a vote. Are there any negative votes? Meeting is adjourned.